it's Shel C from Paper Octio Studio. Today I'm sharing with you my new fall phone case. You guys might remember I made this one that I'm using as a template at another video, and I'll put an iCard in for that so that you can look at it if you want to. This project is part of the Creative Festival called #LoveFallArt 2017. This is brought to you by the Creative Arts Collaboration. You can put that hashtag #LoveFallArt 2017 in your search bar and come up with all different types of, creative stuff. Could be anything from card making, scrapbooking, to 3D type arts, to digital painting, and then of course regular stuff like the stuff I do. Excuse me. So go ahead and do that. Search it out, see what you can find. It's a lot of fun. So when I think about fall and the images that bring about the idea of fall or autumn, I think about warm colors like reds and golds and fall leaves. Trees are losing their leaves and they're turning red or gold or orange or purple. I think about pumpkins and for some reason owls. I don't know why. I'm not sure what owls have to do with the fall, but they seem fall-like to me. And so I decided to do an illustration of fall images of what I think of when I think of fall. So I drew this tree, and then I've got a pumpkin and an owl sitting on the pumpkin. Using my soft graphite mechanical pencil, it's a drafting pencil, to make my illustration. By the way, I made this out of an old piece of packaging, so I'm recycling. It's like a thin cardboard type paper. Cut it down to size, and then I put some gesso on there to seal it up just to make sure, and then I drew my illustration using soft graphite, and then I'm using the Decoart Media line fluid acrylic paint. These are artist quality fluid paints to fill in my little illustration, turning it into an acrylic painting. Normally on my channel you see a lot of mixed media, but this is basically an acrylic painting. I really like these fluid paints because they have a lot of pigment in them, but there's not a lot of fussing with mixing in water and making them flow more smoothly. I prefer them over the heavy body paints for actual painting, especially on paper. On canvas it might be a little bit better to have the heavier paint so that it goes down into the nooks and crannies on a canvas, but for this type of work I really like these fluid paints. Other companies also have fluid paints like Golden. I know they have a line of fluid paints that's probably very similar to this, but these are what I have, so they're what I'm using. I will list the colors that I used below in the description box with links so that you can find them if you would like to try out this type of paint. I'm not in any way affiliated with Decoart. I just happen to like their products. Although I might try to get affiliated with them because I sure do use their products a lot. It would probably benefit me to do that. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So the way that I acrylic paint is kind of similar to the way that I do other things, which is to do layering. I started out with the tree being all Payne's gray. That was the first layer. And then now I'm going back in and adding some, I believe it's burnt sienna brown color and some titanium white mixed in with it to add kind of a more warmer tone. That Payne's gray is a very cool color, but I didn't want to use black because then I wouldn't be able to see the illustration lines that I had made, to kind of guide myself. I wanted it to be more of a gray, so I went with the Payne's gray, which is really almost navy blue, interestingly. But then I just go in with other layers over the top with more different colors to make it more dimensional. And I'm doing the same thing with the pumpkin. I'm starting out with red, which red is not the color of a pumpkin, but it's a warm red. It's a cadmium red hue, I believe, is what I used. And same thing with the leaves. I did darken up the color a little bit by mixing it with the sienna. I've also got raw sienna. What other colors? Cadmium yellow, cadmium orange, green gold. I think I have a cobalt blue. Now, now I'm using titanium white. The thing about titanium white is that it's opaque. The other colors that I'm using have different layers, or different, not layers, but different types of opacity. The yellow is almost translucent. It's very, very see-through. Same with the orange, and then the other ones are kind of in between. So when I need to correct something, or I didn't do a very good job of erasing my hesitation marks and my rewrites and whatever when I was illustrating. So if I want to correct something, or maybe my hand twitched and my brush went somewhere where I didn't want it to, I can use the titanium white either by itself or mixed with other colors to create a more opaque paint that will cover up those pencil lines or those, crazy things that happen. So that's the reason that I have the titanium white out. Also, of course, it lightens colors, so I can create a shade lighter than the shade that I put on so that I can use it as a highlight. So for the little owl, I'm going to make him green. Obviously, owls are not green. I've never seen a green owl. They're usually brown. Sometimes they might be white, maybe blackish parts, but green, I don't think so. But in my world of silly owls that look nothing like real owls, owls are green. Then I'm using some of that cobalt blue mixed with the green gold to kind of make a tealish color for the shadows. So he's kind of a teal and green. But these are colors that say fall to me, so that's the reason that I'm using them. Warm colors, like, an olive green is more warm than, say, like a forest green or viridian or something like that. So I want to use warmish tones on here, colors that, it's because they remind me of fall. That's why. I don't know why. Where do those things, where do those ideas come from? Is it from your childhood? Is it from things that you've been seeing your whole life that just give you the idea of something with colors? I'm always curious about that, where your brain gets these ideas, but I'm representing what I feel is fall, and it might not be the same for you. You might have other ideas. And I know other people will have other ideas, so when you go and search that hashtag #LoveFallArt2017, you'll find other people's ideas of what they think autumn and fall is, or what represents that for them with their ideas and feelings and nostalgia and whatever. So I'm just continuing to paint, adding highlights and shadows. I have two pumpkins, so I want them to be different colors. So the little pumpkin is more of a cad orange with, of course I'm filling in other colors with it. And then the bigger pumpkin is darker with some more of the burnt sienna mixed in to the paint. And then I did bring out some quinacridone violet, which is not purple at all, actually. It's kind of burgundy. It's what I would call burgundy, to do the shading on the larger pumpkin. And I also use that color for shading in the trees, in the leaves in the trees. I don't want there to be a whole lot of leaves on the trees, because leaves fall off in the fall. That's part of the reason it's called fall. I think the leaves fall. But I do want to have a few so that you get the idea that it's, fall foliage, reds and oranges. I do decide at some point, well, I guess at this point, that I'm going to add some other color of leaves. So I start filling in with some orange colored leaves in different places, and then add the shadows and highlights to those. So they end up not being hugely different than the others, but they are lighter, which gives more visual interest and variety to the scene. You might wonder why I am leaving the eyes on the owl alone. I'm going to do those with Posca pens. Posca pens are acrylic in a marker format. So they're really great for writing over the top of other acrylic because they're kind of the same. And I really enjoy using them, so I'm going to be using them to finish my scene. In fact, here we go. The first thing that I did was use a fine tip black Posca pen to draw back in the illustration lines. I like black lines around things. It makes me happy, especially with this type of a little silly drawing. You know, it just seems like it's almost childlike, whimsical, and so it feels like it needs black lines drawn back in. So I'm doing that. This marker has a very fine tip. I have different types of Posca pens. I have some medium tip ones and things like that too as well. So when you're buying Posca pens, you want to look at what the tip is when you buy them. That's one of my medium tip, and you can see it's longer. It's a bigger marker. And my finishing is going to be with white fine tip Posca pen. Really, really enjoy the white Posca pen and adding little highlights to everything. Some people do this with a white gel pen. I prefer this pen over the gel. It seems like my gel pens always clog, and so I just gave up on them, and I use my white fine tip Posca pen for pretty much all of my highlighting. Really enjoy that pen. I just do little dots and dashes. Here I'm adding some grass down at the bottom, things like that. So to finish it off, I know that acrylic paint, especially if it's a shiny version of acrylic paint, is sticky, sticks to other things. So I'm using some Daddy Vans unscented beeswax furniture polish, and that will help that not stick to my case. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please remember to give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment so I know you were here, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course share if you want to. Also, don't forget to go search for everyone else in the hashtag LoveFallArt 2017 event. Bye bye.